Hi there guys, this is Cassandra. I'm a Riffle in Time and I'm so glad you're here. Today we are doing another VR and this one is from Tarot Magpie. You know I love Sylvie's channel and their taste in tarot, so I'm always excited to see a tag from them. I have here the hashtag #TA romance tropes and we have 10 prompts, so at least 10 decks to look at. I tried to only pick one for each. One of the questions though is a 2-deck question, so I didn't do too bad. I think I only have like one extra deck on the table. We're gonna start with the enemies to lovers. So this is a deck style or system you've insisted that wasn't for you until you realized it was. And it was funny because as soon as I thought of the enemies to lover tag, I thought of the same thing, which was Sylvie also chose the animal deck. I historically here have said about how, well, I guess probably about a year ago now, maybe 2, I was talking about how I just really don't like animal decks. And even after I got Oak, Ash, and Thorn, I still would talk about how these kind of the Three Trees tarot decks were the only animal decks that I really seemed to like. And I even at first had trouble with Oak, Ash, and Thorn, but have since grown to love. I think that Adam just does a really great job at putting like the kind of like human expression and into like the faces of the animals. There's the Fool card from, is it from, or is that from the Smoke, Ash, and Embers? Let me see if I can peek the Fool. I can't remember which Fool that is now that I'm thinking about it. It could be either, because no, the Fool from here is our sweet little Bambi. But no, the Fool from Smoke, Ash, and Embers is this dragon about to like walk up the steps, and like the expression on its face feels so human. It gives me the goosebumps. But I have since, especially like I have Thistledown now too, I have 3 decks that are very animal or creature forward, and I didn't think I would ever have a deck, honestly, that was so creaturey, because I love animals. I absolutely adore them from that aspect, but I don't use animal energy a lot in my practice. I don't know a lot about like individual, and I know some people have like a wealth of knowledge about like the temperaments and things of animals, and that's just never been like my wheelhouse. Actually, the next deck we're going to talk about, I had a really hard time at first with, because there are so many animals in the Gentle Tarot. This is going to be actually for my friends to lovers, and this is a deck that you liked well enough, and then one reading deepened or changed your relationship with it. And I would say that honestly, what I've always said about the Gentle Tarot, I've always loved it. And I used to just have the linen edition with the little guide cards, and I loved it. But I will say we were more friends until the full size. The guidebook and like hearing Mari's words give me perspective on the creatures, the animals here. It's like sometimes I don't know enough about the animal to understand why like this is a relevant choice for the Empress, but Mari does a really good job in the guidebook explaining like the art symbolism for the cards, but also just explaining how the cards represent like the art represents the cards. It's just so cool to hear like people's visions and talk through something that on its own, like seeing this as the Hermit wouldn't make sense to me at first, but like reading the book and like getting just, Mari's just brilliant. That's what I meant to say. I really think that one of my favorite things that of all of them is the guidebook. I really love, I would read it on its own. I will like do a good old bibliomancy, like pick a page, but just think it's really amazing how It's all like weaved in there. And it's definitely a guidebook in a different way. It's not a guidebook in the way that's like really heavy on the traditional meaning for. It's not dry like that. It feels like really like passionately speaking. And that's where it's like you meet someone and like you get along, you click, like you look cool, you seem cool, but then when you start having like deep conversations with each other and like you fall into, yeah, I feel like that's a perfect pick for friends to lovers. Forced Proximity is decks, a deck that you used. I don't know, why is this here? Hold on. I have a deck here that I think I picked. Okay, so I think I also picked this for friends to lovers. Because I think that's what this is actually sitting here, because I know it's definitely not Forced Proximity. Forced Proximity is the next deck that's right down here. But I started out with Iris, liking Iris. You know, of course. it's a really well-loved deck. So I think I've talked for all the reasons that I enjoy Iris. It's a 78 card Oracle deck. They're really unique cards too. Like, it's not just the copy and paste of like the general Oracle, but the more time I spent with Iris, the more it felt like almost like a whole different experience. It's every time I see Restlessness, I feel it in my body. But like the readings are just so shake me up. It's one of those decks that I think I could have so many decks in the friends to lovers, and I do think Iris is a good one though, because I can remember the specific reading I had where it was like, it went from, wow, I like this deck, to like, wow, I love this deck. And that was part of the friends to lovers. But Forced Proximity, a deck you used for a month, took on holiday, made yourself work with, that changed your relationship with this. You guys probably know by now, if you have been on the channel for a while, that the Devas of Creation is my deck of the, like, for my month ahead. And it has really helped me connect to and also find a good pairing with this deck. I have had this for like a year now, I believe, and really hadn't used it at all, and made it a point when I did the decks of 2024 that I was going to use it for something. And I think during the video had the idea to do my month aheads with it, and it's really been such a perfect spot for it. It really has been reading so well for me, and I'm so glad I obviously kept it and gave it a try, because I also really love it with Ritual Tarot, and there's like a couple other decks that I'm like really excited to use it with, but it's definitely one of those decks that I can't just use intuitively. So I really had to make space where I was going to be sitting down and being able to like dig into a guidebook, because it is definitely not, I don't know, and this is actually kind of a cool lead up. Hold on. I think we're out of order here from where. Yes. Okay. So I'm looking at the tag prompts and I'm reading down them, but they're not in the same order that is on the timestamps, like from the video. So when I was watching the video, I was picking out decks because I'm like, this is not Soulmates. So I'm going to go back to the actual supposed to be next one. So Slow Burn was the one, a deck that you didn't have the best first impression of, but the more you worked with it, the more you liked it. Let me reorient myself now, because my soulmate is the last one. Okay. And then Forced Proximity wasn't supposed to be until that one. Slow Burn, though, a deck that you didn't have the best person you worked with, the more you liked it, could have been but I didn't have a bad first impression of Iris, so that doesn't feel right. I have a opposites attract. I actually have the color vision, where that might seem weird, but I have a really good reason, I feel like. Then I have Death Doula for my blind date. I have Second Chance, Unrequited Love, Love Triangle, then Soulmate. So slow burn, did I just not pick a slow burn maybe? I'm gonna go with, okay, so a deck, let's think. A deck you didn't have the best first impression of, but the more you worked with, the more you liked it. So first impressions. Who didn't have a good first impression? You know what? Maybe slow burn would be spread crafters, because at first, like, I loved the idea of spread crafters. And so let's do that. So slow burn, I'm going to put spread crafters here. And I adore spread crafters, and you know that I feel that way now. But at first, I think I really didn't know what to do with it, because I found I really wasn't looking to create spreads with it, which is weird to get a deck that you don't intend to make spreads with that is called spread crafters, but I ended up finding the way we work best. I think because, like, the thought of, like, having to read the book and, like, figure out how to create spreads with it felt like a task. I just started having conversations with it, and the more I talked to it and the more I used it kind of in my own weird, funky way, the more I've absolutely loved it. And so I would say that's a good slow burn. It was definitely us feeling each other out. I will also use it as kind of like a theme card, or like, you know, the kind of vibe. It's like clarifying. It's like, well, what do I do with that, you know? And so I think we've definitely found our way, and I definitely now can't imagine it without it being in my collection. So I think that's a good slow burn. Okay, so now hopefully we're back in order. And now we're doing opposites attract. So I know it might seem weird that I'm choosing color visions for this, but hear me out. So yes, I do love color. And yes, I do love a good guidebook. But I do not normally read decks that don't have, like, images to read off of. I don't find, like, I have a wealth of knowledge about color, or really any. I know very little. I'm pretty much like, I think these are all upside down now. I pretty much have, like, a general idea of, like, red being representative of anger. You know what I mean? Like green and pinks being like heart, because like crystals and chakras, like I have a little bit of information on that, but other than that I really don't have anything to go off of. This is like a deck that I've said is I don't have anything like it in my collection, because it's just a little out of my wheelhouse, honestly, and I've been enjoying that. I've been enjoying getting to know it. I still obviously can't read intuitively with it. It's not like, I know some people have a lot of, like, knowledge on something like colors or symbols, and like the deck of the Hollow Valley deck of symbols is another deck actually that I would say is an opposites attract, because first off, it's a black and white deck, which, where this is color and that kind of makes sense. This, on the other hand, is completely colorless, which is not normally my vibe. And this is symbols. I don't have a lot of knowledge on symbols, and it's not something I go for. More like scenic images, and like maybe I am a little people-y. They're not normally people, they're more like drawn, like creaturey. I don't know how to explain whatever. The kind of weird vibed people, like, that you, I'm more into the, like, outgrow yourself, apparition, iris, even like reclaim, Lillifer, like that's my kind of people, I guess. But this is really like outside of my normal, but I really do enjoy them. And I'm getting to like scratch an itch I don't normally have a deck for. So there is that. Okay, so next, Blind Date, a deck that I'm assuming an impulse buy, a deck that was a gift or a deck that you didn't do much research on and ended up loving. Actually, it was Death Duel. So I remember reaching out when I first saw Death Doula to the creator and was like, hi, do you offer these wholesale? And I never ever like buy a deck completely for the shop like willy-nilly like this, but I did. I ended up, because I was like, well, I'm gonna buy my copy and then like I will see from there kind of vibe, because I like to do my, and then I just like there's something I was like, actually, can I just add it on to like can I get 5 and then just add my deck on to that order and just like because I was really attracted to it, and it just, I'm so glad I jumped. It was about to go out of like print for a little while I was waiting on a reprint, and I just got 5 and I got my deck, and here we are. It ended up being like my standout deck of 2023, and I've had a really great time with this little one here. And I think this is another deck that's like pretty abstract, and maybe it might have intimidated me if I had looked too into it at first, but I really enjoy this deck. I love its guidebook. I have a lot of pairs with it that I really enjoy, and I'm glad I jumped on that one. I have quite a few decks there that the blind date didn't work out, so that is like a happy ending. Next, we have Second Chance, and if you know that I trimmed Vanessa Joust Tarot, this was a deck, actually I got one of my earlier decks that I got, and it used to have like inches top and bottom, and it's in a different language, and I never used it. It was too big for my hands to shuffle. I really was still in that kind of place where I was reading really like literally knowledge based, and I was having trouble figuring out some of the cards, like translating it over. And we didn't have a good time. We didn't have a good time to start. And I ended up actually shipping this to somebody to sell, and it got damaged in shipping, the box on the outside, which you can see here. And the person wanted to return it because of that. And this was like way before the shop, but I ended up was like, absolutely, like, I'll give you your money back, but just send the deck back, because I don't want this deck to go to waste, because I don't care about a little damage on a box. And so the damaged box, I guess, just let me like push myself to like trim it one day, because I mean, I still didn't use it. I ended up trimming it, and it's been a whole different experience. And I'm also, again, a more intuitive reader now. And I've been using that Insomnia together, both trimmed, no words on them, just full, like, go for it. And it's been an absolute beauty. Unrequited Love. You really wanted to love this deck, but it just doesn't love you back yet, question mark. The Lost Hollow is actually one of the few decks that is left in my pre-loved deck section. And we talked about, I don't remember what edition this is, but I guess that's important because this is a different edition than there is now. But the Lost Hollow is a beautiful deck, and I would say probably 75% of the cards I really enjoy. And then there are some that are just really busy, I think it is, and like kind of I don't know, I love the tricolor. The tricolor is probably my favorite thing about it, but there's something about it that gives me a physically stressful reaction to. And I really can't, like, I love some of these cards. So I love the artwork, but some of it just, it makes me anxious and kind of restless feeling. And I find myself not pulling for it because of it. And I'm like looking at it, and it sucks because I'll look through some of the cards and I'm just like, I love this so much. But then like I'll hit the cards that are like, ah. Like This is one of those cards that just, ugh, makes me unwell. But oh my lordy, some of them are just, you know what, looking at it, I couldn't want to put it back in can I just take out some cards? Like, is that, I know that's not the answer, but I really love the art style. I really, there's just a few, at least, cards in there that just really, like, stress me out. Love Triangle is next, and this, there's like 2 decks that are in competition with each other, or a pair of decks that you use together. And these decks kind of overlap somewhere in the middle where, like, I don't use them together, but I use them for the same thing. And, like, I will sometimes, like, pull from them one after another. I always choose these both. It's funny, like, when I do videos, they come together in my videos. It's like it'll both arrive because I do kind of the same vibe. I do a lot of, like, healing work with these, grief, inner child, but it's just that same kind of wheelhouse. They're very different, but actually, I'll just show them both to you at the same time. This is the Future Ancestor Tarot and the Playful Heart Tarot. And though they seem like complete opposites with color-wise, they both have just been really loving and supportive. And I actually had a video recently where I had to, I don't think I've posted that yet actually, but I had to choose between them and I felt physically unwell. Because in, like, real reality, I just can't. I need them both. These are 2 of my favorite decks of all time. And it's not like they're fighting for my love exactly, because I do love them both, but I do have to, like, when I'm in them, I'm thinking it's like, what specific healing am I looking for? And I have to kind of do it that way. I have to really be mindful of what I need, or, like, I have trouble picking between which one I'm going to use. So that's my love triangle. It's a lovely love triangle, though. We're not upset about it. We're here to enjoy each other. It's not like we're about to battle it out and one's gonna win. We're gonna live happily ever after in our little polycule, maybe. So next and the final is Soulmates. And where are you going? You go up here. Soulmates. This one, I think the actual, it was supposed to be a deck you fell in love with immediately, but when I hear Soulmates, I actually I don't think it was immediate that I fell in love with Outgrow Yourself, because I wasn't using it when I first got it, like, not intentionally. I just had a lot of decks at the time. But if you've been here for any amount of time, you know that this is my one. This is my only if I had to choose. So obviously it has to be my soulmate. I seriously, if I had to forsake every deck I have and just choose one, here it is. It's completely replaceable, so it's not that. It is just, I feel like, the deck that I connect to the easiest. And it doesn't have to make sense. I feel like, I've had quite a few people be really surprised because of, like, my bubbliness and my happiness and my energy, that this is my favorite deck. I think that people just assume that I'm like a really, like, love and light kind of deck person, which is so funny to me, because, like, are you wasting your time? No, I want to be really just red the boots down, I guess, but don't drown in a glass of water. So I guess I come out thinking, like, people thinking that I'm just really into these really sweet light decks, and I just really want Outgrow Yourself to tell me to stop being stupid. But if I had to choose one deck that I feel like is my soulmate, I would choose Outgrow Yourself, but the way that this was worded after the fact, because I saw Soulmates and I just assumed, but then I was watching and I was listening, and the choice for Soulmate was a deck that you fell in love with immediately. And I think, honestly, the first one that came to my mind was Extraordinary Incantations. I think it's the most honest answer because I remember I got this and I was just obsessed and swept away immediately. And I think because it does that same kind of vibe that Outgrow Yourself does, where it like puts these like little phrases on the cards that seem a little different than like the traditional meanings, and that kind of turns on the head. And it's really easy to like meet me where I am in the day, when it's like I can either like read this as a tarot, I can read this as an oracle, I can do so many different things. This is also a pocket little, I just found myself all like spring and summer last year just throwing this in my bag. Fall and winter, I guess. Literally from the moment I got it, it was just, I start over, wipe the slate clean. I just really, I was quite smitten, because also, so like, there are things that are lighter about this, but also there's like, I can chill the hell out. Like, it's just really, and I've historically said this is one of my favorite cards. I get over myself, I get over it for Three of Swords. You know I love a good Three of Swords. Three of Swords is one of my least favorite cards normally, in its like traditional sense. I just don't really love the like hearts with the swords, but I really love that one. Gosh, that's such a good Three of Swords, to me at least. Yeah, I had so much fun with that. I'm gonna have to edit it because I got out of order there, and wacky woo. But that was fun. I loved watching Sylvie's, and I am definitely excited to see everyone else's, so I love you.